Rabbits are pretty much everywhere in Britain, but that wasn't always the case. In fact, rabbits aren't even native to the British Isles. The Romans were the first to bring them across the Channel, enjoying them for their meat and fur. But when they left, the rabbits went with them, the small population dying off soon after. About a millennia passed rabbitless until the Normans came around the 11th or 12th century, and for a second time the bunny made its way back to Britain by way of an invading army. The rabbits found themselves in a hostile land, easy prey, unable to defend themselves, and hunted by fox and other carnivores. Being a rare delicacy and providing a luxurious fur pelt, rabbits in the 13th century were worth more than a workman's daily wage. Something had to be done to protect the little guys. Enter the warren. A warren is an enclosed area specifically for the breeding of rabbits. Due to their rarity at the time, warrens would only be built by monastery priori or landowners, and rabbits were only to be hunted with royal approval. This meant that anyone else found killing a rabbit was poaching. This was a middle-aged luxury good that can be hunted by both man and animal and with no way to defend itself. So fortified lodges were built to oversee the breeding area. 2 stories, the bottom floor would be filled with equipment and storage, as well as racks for drying meat and pelts. The second floor would house the warrener, the man in charge of protecting as well as caring for the animals. Protection was fairly straightforward: arm yourself and defend against those predators and poachers. Caring for the rabbits was the real job though. This included catching them, breeding them, feeding them during the winter when food was scarce, drilling holes for them to burrow, and managing the overall population. This particular lodge was built here, northeast of London, in Thetford, in about the 1400s, most likely by the Thetford Priory monks nearby. This area, known as the Brecklands, has a unique habitat for the island. Dry and sandy soil are covered in heath and pine trees. Not great for farming, but what it is great for is raising rabbits, providing them the habitat that burrowing and foraging needs. With 26 warrens scattered across the Brecklands during the Middle Ages, this area exported meat and fur across the country. Like this lodge, many had defensive constructions, meter-thick walls, parapets for observation, and the ability to bar the door from the second-floor residents. In the 1500s, with the dissolution of the monasteries, these lands would get sold off to the more wealthy landowners nearby, who would continue to prosper from the business of bunnies. This business would get even better as fashion and style went from using the fur as linings on cloaks and robes to that of hats. Rabbit felt hats came into style, boosting the economy. This would go on until about the 18th century, at which point in time the perception of rabbits would do pretty much the opposite of the perception of lobsters. Whereas lobsters went from poverty food, slowly elevating its way to delicacy, rabbits went the other direction. This was due to several reasons, but the primary reason was that despite the attempts at controlling the population, rabbits would sneak out of the warrens every now and again. And then they breed like, well, rabbits. After several centuries, the wild rabbit population was fairly robust. They became so common that the poor were having no real trouble getting their hands on them for a protein-rich meal, despite their protected status by the crown. By 1880, with the Ground Game Act taking that protection away, as well as increased imports of meat during the Industrial Revolution, as well as fashion evolving away from fur hats, spelled the end of warrens and rabbit ranches in Britain. Only a few warrens remained into the 19th century, and Thetford Lodge here was used until burning in 1935. The entire industry essentially ended for good in the 1950s during the outbreak of myxomatosis, a virus that decimated the rabbit population. For the last 100 years or so, the lodge has slowly deteriorated right here, and of course with that, with any abandoned structure, comes ghost stories and myths. One in particular involves a massive white rabbit with flaming red eyes who guards the doorway to the lodge. And of course, if you encounter this white rabbit, it's an omen of death, cursing you to an early grave. Maybe that was the inspiration to the beast of Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Probably should have brought my holy hand grenade. You can check out another video here. The link in the description below is to my map, which has every video I've ever done, with links as well as where they're located. Thanks for watching. Thanks to my Patreon subscribers for helping me get here. And as always, until next time, get lost.